Yep.
Now we're good.
You're recording.
Okay, good deal. I'd like to welcome everybody to the March 2021 CABREW General Meeting. I don't see any visitors. I think we're all members here, but thanks for coming. We were just talking about COVID. It looks like numbers are improving. Things are going in the right direction. There's a real possibility that next month we may try to do an in-person meeting for our club meeting. And if we do, we'll do a Zoom element also. So we'll wait and we're going to wait, a little closer to the meeting and see, but looks like we may end up being able to get together and meet in person, fairly soon. So we're keeping an eye on that. And as long as the numbers keep coming down, we very well may be able to meet in person for our next month meeting. If y'all would, and I'll do it in a second, go ahead and check in if you can. Check in from home or wherever it is that you're attending the CABREW monthly meeting. That'd be awesome to put the word out there. We can go around the room and see, and you can just do the hand raise function on your Zoom. Who's brewed since last meeting? Has anybody brewed? I'll go ahead and tell mine. I've brewed a West Coast IPA with Chinook, Centennial, and Columbus, and it's ready, and it's pretty good. I'm gonna dry hop it in the keg to get a little more aroma out of it. But also,
bullshit, you made a West Coast IPA?
Oh yeah, I love it. That's my jam. I usually make pale ales, and they're West Coast pale ales, but I made an IPA, and it's basically a pale ale, is what it feels like. But I did the British Brown, the Club British Brown. I did an extract version of it just to see how it turns out. So we'll see. It tastes pretty decent, but I'd like to see how it matches up with the others. So we can go around the room. Jared's got his hand raised. You've brewed since last time?
Yeah, we did a Stella Artois clone. So it's lagering now. It's about 75% done according to my tilt and my Brewfather tracking. So single malt, single hop. It was very easy. That's the one I brewed at after I got off work on a Friday evening last week. So
nice. That ought to be good. We'll move John Burbine.
Guys, I brewed two things. I did one of the porters that's in the classic brew styles. So that was Who's Your Tatty Porter, and so I put a few samples of that in the refrigerator this week. And then just this past weekend, I did the brown for the club. So we'll see how that comes out. That's still fermenting.
Did your fermentation ever ramp up?
So it didn't seem to, so I chucked some more yeast in there, and it's definitely going. So.
Well, good. Brett. Oh, wait a minute. Oh shoot. Mike Quillen, aka Brad Hughes. Mike Quillen.
Hey. So I've got a Maybach that is just about done, and this breakfast stout that's about a 8.6%. So I think it's an imperial stout.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Brendan.
I brewed a clone of Carolina Brewing Company's Nut Brown Ale. Just it's in the keg this past weekend, and just waiting for it to carbonate.
Nice.
Nice. I don't think I've had that beer before, but I love nut browns.
Yeah, it's a good one.
How did you get the nuts in there?
No nuts. It's actually just the grains that give it a little off flavor.
Oh, okay. Cool. Jimmy?
I brewed a coconut coffee porter. and a Belgian wit that's gonna sit on blueberries for a couple weeks.
Oh, that sounds good. Brad the Elder.
Okay, last month I've unbarreled a chocolate stout and bottled it. Came out really nice. Been in the barrel for 3 months. I also brewed the British brown ale, which is now in a keg, and I did a dark lager, my first lager, which is now in a keg, and came out pretty good.
Oh, nice. Where'd you get your barrel?
From Texas, company called Barcone, Barcone, Barcone.
Okay.
They run about $95 to $105 depending on the time.
Sounds like you've been busy. Jay Shaw next. What you been doing, Jay?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I was on the last time. So I did the club round last week, and a few weeks ago, I think I did mention this. I did the California Common.
Oh, nice. Chris?
Yeah, I did the club round as well, and I got it in bottles last weekend, so it should be ready. Tasted pretty good going into the bottle, so anxious to see what you guys think. Also did a Irish Stout for St. Patrick's Day, so that should be ready. What, next week, right? Yeah, next week.
Next Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, and it tasted really good too. So happy with how both those turned out.
Oh, nice. I was gonna do an Irish Red, but I just didn't have the time or the effort. Jay Britton, you got your hand raised. Hate to make you get up.
Yeah, I thought you could unmute me from there. So
Maybe we could have, but it's too much fun to see you get up.
I'll get up. I know. All right. Well, I did the club round, and we have it on keg here tonight, and we're sampling it. So. Woo!
And then,
Daryl and John.
so can you switch it over? Hey there. So John and I did 4 brews. So we did the club round. We did the extract version. We've got a pumpkin ale. We tried our hand at a mead. And then we've got the peanut butter chocolate milk stout.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yep. Been busy.
Yeah.
Good brew.
Oh, I don't have part on brew right now.
So apparently they didn't brew.
That's okay. All right. Well, awesome. Richard next on the list.
I did the club brown ale as well. I'll be kegging it this weekend. It's been sitting for 2 weeks, and I didn't hit my numbers, so I don't know how it'll be, but we'll just have to figure it out and see what it tastes like.
Okay, awesome. I think we're gonna. Well, we might get a count later, but it seems like there's gonna be a lot of browns at the showcase. Tom.
I don't remember what I shared last time, but the last 2 were Czech Pills and a Marzen, an Oktoberfest. And those both turned out really good. I can't wait for them to finish lagering. They'll be quite good. Also a West Coast IPA.
Nice. You didn't do the Club British Brown?
Done it.
Okay. Steven's next on the list.
Yeah, I didn't do the brown either, but that's just from planning. I did 2 lagers in the last month. One was a dark lager that I brewed with Ben and split batched. The next was a 10-gallon batch of what I'm calling a breakfast lager, because about 30% of the grain bill was grits and cornflakes from the store.
Oh, nice. That ought to be good.
We'll see.
All right, awesome. And Devin.
Yeah, I also did the Club Brown, and then I tried my hand. I've been making a lot of darker beers and stuff lately, so I made a hard seltzer and wanted to see what I could kick out with something like that, which is surprisingly more difficult than I thought it was going to be. But second time around, it worked out pretty well. Ended up using one of the Kvike yeasts, and came out around 7%. So, yeah.
How did it taste?
It's pretty good. I put some crystallized grapefruit in it, and I used the Lutra strain, so it fermented out really clean. It has a tad bit of a yeast to it, but I also fermented at 90. I'd probably jump down to like 70, and I bet it could it'd be even more like clean tasting with a little less of that yeast.
Well, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Was your hard seltzer in the beer exchange? Someone was that yours?
One in there, yeah.
All right, good. I got one of those. I hadn't tried it yet.
Yeah, you have to let me know what you think.
Okay, well, I think that's everybody that's brewed since last time. And before we go into our officers' reports, we can kind of just go around the room and see who came by and got a beer from the beer exchange. If you want to raise your hand, I guess is the way to do it. But I'm having a Belgian IPA that Stephen Scott put in. This is really crystal clear, and it's really good, Stephen. I like it.
I bottled that straight from the fermenter. So I did the keg minter with I dry hopped in it, crashed it, carved it, and I'm serving it out of the fermenter.
It's crystal clear.
It's I think 6 weeks old, so it just all dropped.
Nice. It's really good. Chris, you've got somebody's beer?
Yeah, I've got Jimmy's. I've poured Jimmy's, the first one. This is the Funky Ass Bitch, 100% Brett fermented farmhouse with Ella and Galaxy hops, and it is amazing. So kudos to Jimmy. It's a really light sour. It's got a great color. You can kind of see from it there. Good carbonation, but real tasty. Real tasty. How did you do the Brett fermenting?
This one, I actually just pitched this one straight out, just one pack. I didn't make a order or anything on this one. It was just kind of a spontaneous beer, and I had a spontaneous brew day. I had a semi-fresh that had some Brett Brooks in it, and pitched it in there. It took it about a week to get going, but once it got going, then I left it in there for about 3-4 more weeks. So kind of that funky flavor doesn't really come out until you leave.
What was the name of it again?
It's Funky Ass Bitch.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Actually, it was I brewed a similar beer with the same grain bill and the same yeast last March. It was my first pandemic beer, and that was Rona. So this was basically Rona's sister when the more contagious strain came out here a couple months ago, and so same grain bill, same yeast, just finished it with Galaxy. The other one I think had all Ella in it.
Jimmy, question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is it a funky ass bitch or a funky ass bitch?
It's a funky ass bitch.
Okay.
Sounds good. Brad, Brad the Elder, you got your hand raised. You got somebody's beer? Brad the Elder, let me see if
Yeah, I had your Vienna lager for dinner.
Oh, okay.
And I thought it was excellent. I got tones of a molasses and caramel and a little bit of grass.
I'm pretty happy with that one. It turned out pretty decent. So my first Vienna lager, and it turned out, it's like my third lager ever, but it turned out pretty decent, I thought. I'm glad you liked
I enjoyed it. I also, right now, I'm drinking Chris Miller's, I guess it's a hoppy experiment, amber hoppy experiment. And it's quite good. It's very lively. It's got a lot of carbonation, and I get a lot of citrus, and it's kind of like an IPA, a citrus IPA.
Yeah, that was Tom's recipe, and with Amarillo, it's got a real Amarillo taste to it, I think. Good.
Oh, nice. John Mervon?
Yeah, so I've also got the hoppy experiment. Just started sipping it. It's, I'm really liking it. And then I picked up the coconut coffee porter, Jimmy's. I haven't opened that one yet, but I have to save some for my wife. That's one of her favorite profiles.
Okay. All right. Jimmy?
Hey, Caleb. Never mind, I got it.
Right now I have let's see, I have a Crazy Dog. There we go. Crazy Dog. Triple Dog Dare. So it's a Belgian triple. It is actually really nice. I like it. It's got some nice spice and a little bit clovey banana flavor. Real smooth for 8.5, almost 9%. So who is Crazy Dog Brewing?
That'd be me.
Yeah. All right.
I realized I was playing around with the labels, and I realized after I dropped them off, I never had my name on them.
Yeah, cool, man. That's a good
That's
beer.
funny.
That's a real nice beer.
Yeah.
I've also got Jay's smoked brown ale that I have not opened yet.
I've got one of Devin's triples also that Patty told me I had to wait until she comes to the meeting to open that one. So we'll open that after a while. Devin, you're last on the list here. You're having somebody's beer?
Yep, I had that actually that smoked. It's called Dilemma by Jay. It's the smoked brown ale, and that was pretty good. I finished that one off just a little while ago. It was like nice and smoky up front, but kind of was pretty smooth afterwards. And then I'm currently drinking Steve, your Vienna lager, and honestly, it's something I've been looking for. I've been trying to find something nice and kind of malty, a little sweet, but this hits the spot.
Oh, good. It's I'm almost positive that's a direct recipe from the Brewing Classic Styles book.
Okay.
So I was real happy with it. So
That is a tasty beer.
Yeah, I want to do something similar for like a spring kind of beer. It's a little bit lighter, but it has that malty flavor to it. So.
well, good. But yeah, it's in the Brewing Classic Styles book, that recipe. But it turned out pretty decent, I thought. If nobody else has a beer that they're sharing right now, we can just go ahead and go into our officers' reports. After the officers' reports, we have 2 presentations tonight. John Mervine's going to give us a presentation on a, I don't know the name of the iSpindel, but it's a Bluetooth hydrometer that he and his daughter have worked on, from what I understand. And Jay Shaw, something we're gonna start doing is we're gonna have members showcase their brewing setup, so everybody can see what everybody else brews on. And Jay Shaw is going to give us a presentation after the officers' reports on his brew to bag setup. So, but we can go into the officers' reports now. Jay is first on our list. Yeah, I cannot unmute you from here, Jay. So, Jay, what you got going on?
We literally have nothing going on. So I think we got all the renewals that we're going to get for the year, and actually pretty good considering everything. We didn't really lose all that many members, which is really great. So yeah, we don't have any expenses coming up right now. The next thing will be the club insurance, which is usually about $500 or so. But other than that, we're in good shape financially. So that's all I got.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, Jay. Next on my list is Richard. He's our communication chair. Richard, you got anything going on?
I don't have much going on. I just want to touch base on the beer exchange with the online forums. If for some reason you don't have access to the online forums, we need to figure out a way to get the information to me so we get you all recorded in the database for CABREW points. And other than that, we're looking for, every month we're going to do the showcase for the brew system. So looking for active volunteers, whoever wants to showcase their system, let us know, and we'll get you on the list. I think we've got April covered, and I think we've got May covered, I believe. So anybody willing to showcase their system, just let us know, and we'll get you in a slot.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Richard. Steve's not here. I thought Steve was here. Yeah, he is. There he is. I thought he was. I couldn't see your picture. Steve's our hot farm chair. You have anything to report?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Well, nothing going on just yet, but I assume in the next couple of weeks we'll be starting up hop farm again. I don't have any sign of mine coming up or showing any growth yet, but with the warm spell we just got, I imagine probably 2 weeks from now they'll start to pop up. So as soon as that happens, then we'll need to get out there and start putting some new lines up so we can train them for the coming year. Stay tuned.
Okay, thank you. I have to say this every month. I have our club equipment here. If anybody needs a jockey box for a party or anything, let me know and we can arrange to get you hooked up. As far as competitions, we don't really have a competition chair at the moment. Competitions are going to be kind of funny this year. From my understanding, the Southeastern Homebrewers Association, there are going to be some competitions, but the SHA is not going to award. There's not going to be a competition for the Homebrewer of the Year or the Homebrewing Club of the Year with the SHA. But they are going to have some competitions. The Shamrock opened up, I guess, last week maybe, and registration. You can register by March 20th. I don't know how many entries are left, but registration's by March 20th. But that's also the day you have to drop off too. So that's the only competition I know of right now. Tom, did you have something to say?
Yeah, if you did enter into the Shamrock, I will be driving up and making a delivery of entries. I'm taking CBM's entries and anyone from CABREW who's interested in having me deliver their entries. I will be driving up either Friday the 19th or Saturday, the 20th. They need to be in to one of the locations by 5 p.m. on Saturday. If you do have entries, please get in touch with me. You can get me on Facebook, or I'll post something to the CABREW members only page. Touch base with me and I'd be happy to take them up for you.
Okay, thanks, Tom. And as far as competitions, it's not really a competition, but we do have our club British Brown Recipe Challenge. We're going to meet at Red Hill March 27th. If you've brewed it, bring a couple bottles to Red Hill. We're going to do it from 2 to 4. We'll just kind of hang around and sample everybody's beer and see how they turned out and see who did what differently, and it should be a good time. I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to try and be as aware of COVID restrictions as we can, but we're all respectful of each other, so that should be a good day. But May 27th is when we're going to have the recipe challenge at Red Hill. Next, our librarian, Jeff. You have anything you'd like to say?
No, if anybody's interested in anything, let me know. I know we have a list posted to the members only Facebook page, like document section. Check it out. But also, if you're interested in something, you're not quite sure if we have it. Like I've had, like Devin had some requests a while back for particular books, so I was able to find some good ones to offer them. Roxana the other day, Jared and Roxana were looking for a clone recipe for a particular beer. We've got several books that do that. So I was able to thumb through those and just take a glance. So, if you're looking for something but not quite sure what you're looking for, or if we have a book for it, let me know. I don't mind thumbing through them and seeing if I can find the information you need and kind of getting you in the right direction. Aside from that, I've been tossing around the idea of doing a kind of like a book fair type thing. So, it's one thing to say, hey, go check out the list, or, we've got books on X, Y, and Z. But what I'd like to do is, and I don't know if I'll be able to get to it in March. It's been kind of a busy part of the year. But I think in April, what I'd like to I kind of lay them out and then.
Well, you're dropping out, Jeff. You're freezing up, Jeff.
Did I freeze on y'all?
Yeah.
Damn.
The last thing we heard was what you'd like to do in April.
Oh yeah. So in April, I'd like to do this book fair and bring all the books out of the room upstairs, bring them into the garage, and lay them out and allow anybody who's interested to actually put hands on the books, on all the magazines that we've got, and just thumb through it. That way you can actually see if it's something you want to read or check out or interested in, and actually get like a feel for what we actually have in the library. So I think at this point I'm looking at doing it like on a Sunday at some point in April. But when we get closer, I'll post it. By the next meeting, I'll announce it so everybody's aware. And so yeah, if that's something that people would be interested in, I'll put that together. And if you want to bring something and share, I'll try to have something ready. And so yeah, we'll just kind of hang out. It'll be yeah. So, but that's all I've got for the library as far as updates go.
Okay, well, you're next on the list for education also.
Perfect. So like Steve said earlier, we've got John's going to do a presentation tonight on electric hydrometer. So, I still got, I need people to sign up for the next following months. So if anybody out there has something that they'd want to present on the, to the club, it could be really anything, if it's something you've been doing for years and it well, and you'd like to pass that knowledge on to the rest of us who don't know anything about it, or let me know. It doesn't have to be like a difficult presentation or anything. We're not asking for a 30-minute slideshow presentation on something, but you can do like a 5-10 minute presentation. You can do a presentation or PowerPoint wise, or you don't even need PowerPoint. If you got some photos you want to share, or if you just want to hang out in your garage and show us something that you've been doing, let us know. So you can direct message me and I'll get you on the calendar, and yeah, pitch me an idea and we'll run with it. We'll get it rolling. So yeah, that's what I got for that.
Okay, cool. We're gonna, that concludes our officers reports. And next we're gonna have John Mervine is gonna give his presentation on his cool hydrometer setup. But has anybody changed? We'll have a little beer chat for just a second. Has anybody changed beers since last time we, is anybody drinking a different beer they'd like to mention? You can raise your hand if you have. Steven's got his hand raised.
Yeah, I opened Jared and Jeff's cranberry saison. It smells outstanding and tastes just as good. So cool beer.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Awesome.
I like it.
John Mervine.
Yeah, I opened up the coconut coffee porter. I really like it. I really like the aroma as I'm bringing it up. It's like drinking a cup of coffee in the morning, but obviously in beer form. I really like it.
Jimmy.
Yeah, I've got the smoked Jay's smoked brown. It's nice. I'd like a little more carbonation. The smoke flavor is good though. I really do like smoked beers. How'd you get the smoke in it, Jay? I don't know if he's listening, but is it smoked malt?
Yeah, I don't know that he's listening.
He's coming.
Yeah,
oh, he's coming.
Yep, sorry. So what was the question there, Jim?
I said, how'd you get the smoke flavor? Did you use like some peat malt, smoked malt, or?
Yeah, it was smoked malt. It was it beechwood smoked malt?
Okay.
Yeah, it was about 1.5 pounds in the 5-gallon bag.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I like it.
All right, thank you.
Okay. He's the last one. Before we go to John's presentation, as far as competitions, Jay let me know that the Colonial Cup, Low Country Libations Colonial Cup is going to open up March 14th. So that's opening up. So the Colonial Cup. So there are some competitions opening up. But anyway, so John Mervine, are you ready to show us what you've got?
Sure. Let's see if I can share my screen here.
Be able to, I think I've opened it up back to us.
Okay. Are you seeing the screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So what I wanted to do, this is I don't claim to be an expert, but I'm working to get there. What I wanted to do is just cover, kind of an overview of it, get your interest, see, if there's any questions and, where you might want to go from that. But, just kind of talk through what it is, some of what it takes to build it and some of the actions to get ready to use it, and then actually, what the output looks like. So, what is an iSpindel or iSpindel, however you want to call it. It's any one of these things. I consider it a toy, but it is wireless and it uses actually Wi-Fi versus Bluetooth. So it does use your Wi-Fi network. It can measure your specific gravity as well as the temperature. It's a DIY project, so you actually have to build it. It's not off the shelf like the Tilt. So you need to get the parts and put it together. So, like I said, it's a cool toy. Obviously, it's not necessary for good brewing, but I kind of like to be able to watch the brew as it happens, and it gives you a good feel for what's going on down there in your fermenter. So you can find the specifications out there on the web. I put a little link here that does have kind of a link. You kind of have to piece some things together. There's a little video on here, and the caveat that I will put here is, as Steve had mentioned earlier, my daughter built these. She's got a master's in engineering, and she likes to tinker around. So she put these together. She did the soldering. They're not like overly complicated, but you have to get the parts, and I've listed out the types of parts that you include here. And then you have to solder the connections together. You have to put, load the software onto the chip, that kind of thing. It's not like, it's a, somewhat advanced do-it-yourself thing, but it's not, like crazy. There's so many instructions out there that are available, so it's within reason. So I've shown a couple pictures here. The one picture there with the 2 tubes, I've got 2 of them at home, just kind of showing you what they look like. They're about 5 inches long, just to give you a sense of scale. This is one taken out of the case here. You can see that's a battery. So it's a rechargeable battery. So that's one nice thing is it's a rechargeable battery, lasts, it says about 3 weeks. I've definitely had it in there for 2 weeks with no issues. So then, once you build it, you have the software loaded on there and you have to configure it. So you want to connect it to your network and everything. But what one thing you'll need to do is to calibrate it. So it works on the basis of tilt, like the tilt hydrometer. So based on the specific gravity of the liquid it's in, is the angle of the tilt. So it's got a sensor in there that's going to detect the tilt. So essentially what you have to do, because there's so many variables in terms of the weight of things that are in your device and how you've oriented it in there. And, we've used a little hot glue in there to try to keep it fixed. But what you want to do is you essentially create a solution of some liquid. We use water and sugar to do the specific gravity. What we did was we started with pure water and then just added sugar to get up to a higher specific gravity. And then, so we measured it with the hydrometer. We connect to another site. There's this thing called UB dots that lets you connect your iSpindel to that, and you can get the readings right off of that. And then when you do that, you enter you can capture those values. What you end up doing is you enter it in an Excel spreadsheet, which then has the little formula to calculate the formula that you actually have to enter in the iSpindel. So it may sound a little complicated. It's just more laborious to take these readings and constantly be adding sugar to your water to get to the gravity that you want to take snapshots of. One thing I did just like read this week was another approach is to start at the high gravity with a quickly fermenting type of approach. So you put your yeast in there and just kind of take your measurements along the way with your hydrometer, and then also check it with the iSpindel, and then so you're going from the opposite direction, which makes a lot of sense. It's just going to take longer time over time, but it's kind of an easier way in that case. So the Excel spreadsheet, this is a little snapshot of what that looks like. So you go in and you go ahead and measure the angles that are in there, and you measure your specific gravities along the way. And what it'll end up doing is it has a little calculation for estimating that. There's a little button here that you click and it runs a little macro that calculates 2 different equations here. And since we can, I use this with Brewfather, so I can use this particular equation and actually get the specific gravity. If you're measuring things in Plato, you can go ahead and use the Plato formula. So this lets you capture that information. And then when you want to start configuring it, if you have the lid off of the iSpindel, what you'll see in here, here's a USB connector, which is you end up using for the charger, nice little USB-C. There's a little switch here, might be a little hard to read, but they're in the green. I don't know if you're seeing my cursor move or not, but there's a power switch there. And then here in the yellow, there's a little jumper that's in there. And what you end up doing is you take like a screwdriver head or something that you can short those. And when you short those, the little LED light here starts flashing really fast. And what it does is it sets up its own little network that you then connect. So what I usually do is I just connect my phone to that directly, and then that gives you a little configuration page to actually get into the iSpindel software. So there's a couple different things that you go into. The one for configuring is a second option. This top option just kind of gives you some basic information that it's current reading. So it shows you what angle it's at, what temperature it's reading, gives you the battery life, and a little estimate of what it would be gravity if it was not just like sitting on your desk kind of thing. And then what you end up doing is when you go into the configuration stage, you go ahead and put in your home network, your password. What you end up doing is giving it a name. We didn't use a very creative name, but if you wanted to show up in BrewFather with specific gravity, in the square brackets, you put a little SG at the end of the name. And that is kind of a clue to BrewFather that you're sending it the equation for specific gravity. So I'm not sure what other software this might connect to. I did actually this week discover there's an application called BrewSpy, which can connect to this. It can connect to a tilt and connect to a Plato device. So I loaded the app, but I haven't played with it yet. So I'm really curious to see what that does. The other thing is configuring the update interval, and this is in seconds. So you can, like when you're doing your configuration to do your specific gravity measurements and calibration, you can set this at like 20 seconds so, or a minute or something so that you can see the changes real quickly. BrewFather asks to have it at 15-minute intervals, which makes sense. You're not going to see a whole lot of action within 15 minutes anyway. You don't want to clog their network. So that's why that's 900 there. I think the rest of these things are in. You want to make sure that they're set, these values are set. And again, the documentation for the iSpindel that's out there goes through a lot of this. And then kind of the key things, you have to actually go into the BrewFather app and tell it where to send the information. So, you know, when you're in the application itself, you go ahead and enable your iSpindel, and it goes ahead and it tells you an address for their server. And then they give you a little code here that's pointing to your particular account. And then from that spreadsheet, you know, I just show that we've cut that equation and put it into there. Then, you know, once you're in, say, and again, I'm showing this in BrewFather because that's what I have. You end up going into your device settings. At first, you may have nothing there, and then you can go ahead and when you turn on the iSpindel and it first connects to BrewFather, BrewFather will then add it as a device that you'll see in here. Now, lately, I've been having some issues, and I don't think it's the iSpindel. I think BrewFather itself has had some issues with connecting some things because sometimes I've connected it and it's been like a couple of hours before it actually sees it. I created a ticket with them, but I haven't heard anything other than thank you for contacting us. We'll contact you. And then this is kind of what you end up seeing. You go ahead and in your here I'm showing the phone version, but you go ahead and in your actual batch that you're brewing, you can go ahead and attach a device. So I've attached a device here, and it lets you see the life of the brew. So these readings here, I was doing some manual readings because I was having some issues connecting, and I finally got it to connect. And so here it picked up there's a little temperature gauge, and then you can see in the red here the specific gravity. So, you know, lots of times, you know, sometimes you have to, it's not exact. Like here, I was off a significant amount for some reason. I don't know why. I was off by 0.012, but you have a way of, in your device thing, this little configuration widget lets you go ahead and say, you know, add the 0.012, and, you know, this way it gets corrected. But it's good to just kind of see how things are going. It just lets you know something's happening. Especially, I have a stainless steel fermenter that I like to use, so it's not quite as obvious as seeing things in a clear, you know, other than, you know, the activity you see in the airlock. So the last thing I just wanted to kind of say is, you know, pointing out some of the differences between the iSpindel and the tilt. As I said before, iSpindel uses Wi-Fi. Kind of the nice thing about that is that, you know, you can get it, you know, throughout your old home typically. So it works just great in the stainless steel devices. So I've had no issues with that. You know, I've had a real good strong signal from that. Tilt uses the Bluetooth. So you need some kind of device that's going to be close to there, or something that's there and reads it and basically sends it to wherever you want it to go. So just kind of different technology, different approaches you might use. Also, the iSpindle's larger than the tilt. From the specs I saw, the tilt is about half the length of the iSpindle. Actually, this should have said 5 inches. I forgot to fix that. Also, a difference in the way they do the batteries. The battery in the iSpindle, it's kind of a big old thing, but it is rechargeable. So you've got pretty long life expected of that. In the tilt, it's not rechargeable; it's replaceable. So the life that they advertise is that it'll last maybe 12 months based on usage, maybe even up to 4 months. And then like the number of devices that you can connect to. iSpindle, because you're going with the Wi-Fi, you can pretty much go as many devices. The sky's the limit. With the tilt, you've got 8 different colors of devices that they advertise. Each one's basically on a different channel. You could, I don't know if you would run into issues having overlap of channels, but if you're brewing 8 things at the same time, more power to you. So I know I probably breezed through that. I'll go ahead and pause and see if anybody has any questions.
You said the iSpindle does control temperature?
Yes.
Nice.
And it calculates your gravity by the tilt of the I'm trying to, I want to say a gyro or whatever in the.
Exactly, it is a gyroscope.
It's a small bottle. It says John Murphy. Yeah, so the gravity comes, it just measures that.
Exactly. So this is just kind of showing my current brew there for the brown. So you can see, I've got my temperature's really jumped, and my SG's really dropped. So, and then something they just added, it seems, is they're capturing the battery as well, which is kind of neat. I've never seen, this is the first time I've ever seen this little green line for the battery. So it must be a new feature they added.
Yeah.
What's the cost on it to put one of those together?
So the part, I mean, you end up having to source the parts from around the world, so it's most cost efficient to build more than one at a time. So building for a couple of them, it ends up parts is about $35-40 per unit, plus your hours of labor that you're putting into it.
You can have that one.
John, so if I'm understanding this right, it's not like a little kit that you're buying parts and you put it together. You're pretty much building it and putting your software on it yourself and stuff. Is that right?
So, somewhere I saw, I thought, because like I said, I kind of outsourced it to my daughter to put together, but so she went on to eBay and Amazon and was ordering all the different bits and pieces. But I thought I saw somewhere on a site you can buy a kit of the pieces, but you still have to assemble it.
Gotcha. Okay. Jared, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand raised earlier.
Yeah, Chris got it. I was going to ask, kind of the cost, because I do have a tilt and I was looking at the iSpindle, but at the time I had an old cell phone that I just send up through Wi-Fi. That's how my Bluetooth is connected. So I go tilt to cell phone, which is Bluetooth, and then cell phone up to Wi-Fi. So, all right.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for John? Well, that's pretty awesome. Thanks for doing that, John. That's a neat setup, and
thanks
for people who like gadgets. I think it's right up a bunch of guys' alleys.
Yeah, I feel like that's the third one now in the lineup because Jared's got what, tilt, and Brad, don't you have a version? Don't you have Play-Doh or something, or what is that what it's called?
Yeah, I have one of those, but I got some of these iSpindles as well.
Okay.
I like them better.
Oh, okay. I was about to say that would be a really cool experiment to do. I know we talked about a experiment between Play-Doh and tilt, but now you got a third one to throw in the bunch.
Yeah, the Play-Doh is nice, but it's not that accurate.
Gotcha.
It'll still tell you where it's at, and you can see when the yeast really drops off, but it's just not that accurate. You can tell when activity ceases, but your gravity is not going to be correct.
Oh,
At least
dang.
that was my experience.
Hey, John, I do have another question for you.
Absolutely.
So, mine's Bluetooth. So, of course, my cell phone has to be pretty close, basically on the outside of my firm chamber. How far away have you been able to get that? Or like, do you have a problem with the data sending?
So I've not had any issues, but I have a kind of a small house. And, so essentially, even through walls, it's about 30 feet away from the router. So it's not fair for me to stay.
Okay, but are you in an open carboy, or are you in like a firm chamber in the carboy?
Oh, so I've done it in a carboy, but I've also done it in a stainless steel fermenter with the lid
okay.
closed and everything. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at those. I still might get one of those and just to compare them. So, all right. Well, thank you.
Well, if I've like I said, I've got 2 of them. So if anybody ever wants to borrow one to play with, happy to loan it out.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Great presentation.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you.
We are going to have another presentation. Jay Shaw is going to show us his brewing setup, but I'd like to take this opportunity right now. If anybody has switched beers, we just opened up one of John Mervine's Who's Your Tatty Porter. And I've brewed this recipe before, and it's a good beer, but I really like this. It seems like it's a tad light on the color.
Yeah. What happened was I didn't have the brown malt, so I substituted Victory.
Oh, it's tasty though. It's tasty though. Has anybody else switched beers? Having somebody else's beer? Anybody's homebrew?
I've got your Vienna lager now, Steve, and it's good. Nice caramel, malty flavor, great color.
Oh,
It's
good.
really good. Delicious.
Oh, good. If there's nobody else, we will go straight into. Oh, Devin, did you get somebody's beer?
You're muted.
Yeah, you muted, Devin. You have to unmute.
Unmute. There we go. I've heard it's the phrase coined of 2020. You're muted. But it's the Moonlighters Brewery Hard Apple Cider. So it's actually super clear, which is awesome. But it's pretty good, actually. It's really good. So I don't know who did that one, but yeah, it's nice. It's crisp, dry, great carbonation.
Did that one have a red, white, and blue cap on it?
I think so.
I think that might be Anthony's cider. I think I might be wrong. So,
okay.
Okay. Anybody else enjoying somebody else's homebrew? If not, we will move right along to Jay. Jay's going to show us his.
Before we move on, when you guys drop off your beers in the cooler, are you guys putting your beers into the spreadsheet so you get credit for dropping off your beers?
No.
You guys should all be doing that.
Where's the spreadsheet?
Where's the spreadsheet?
Richard?
It's posted on Facebook. If anybody's not on Facebook, we need to figure out a way to get you guys recorded.
I'm not much of I haven't been Facebooking much, so that's why.
I think it was linked.
Everybody who has donated tonight, so I can get everybody recorded, but that's something we need to figure out if we're going to continue to do this in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe we won't have to worry about it for a while. Maybe
Yeah.
things are going to change, and we won't have to worry too much about it. But it's been a good thing. I did enter my beers in the spreadsheet this month. No, I didn't last month, but yeah, they're anyway. I've got a couple more things after Jay. We don't have a whole lot more business, but Jay, are you ready to show us your homebrew setup?
Yeah, sounds good. So I do a brew in the bag style, and I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with that, but that means I use one vessel to mash in. I don't sparge, and I boil in the same kettle. So what I do with my stand here is roll it out into the driveway, fill it up with some nice hot water up to, whatever the strike temperature is, mash in my grains in this handy dandy bag. And the stand has attachable arms with a pulley system. So after my time is up, it just comes on up and let it drain out, start the fire. The stand itself is on wheels, so it makes it nice and convenient to move it in and out of the garage. These arms are just 2x4s, and they come out on both sides, so I can roll it in the garage and collapse it down. Inside the hot space here, we've got concrete board, and that really helps with cutting down on the wind. It holds a lot of temperature in during the mash. During the winter months here, I wrap it in a sleeping bag as well, and that just holds it pretty solid. I think the last brew I did, it was, I guess, fairly warm that day, and my temperature dropped from, I think, 152 down to 149 at the end. So not much of a heat loss there. Also on the stand, I've got an attachment for baby pump where I put it in and hook the hoses up, but then once it's done, to get it out of the way, it just kind of connects it out. So it's just connected to a 2x4 with a little spot for it to sit in when it's in use. And then when it's not in use, I get rid of it so I don't kick it or knock it over. So also here on the stand, I got the spot for the propane, a shelf, and then obviously a workspace up on the top, thermometers. Use some barbecue gloves to squeeze the bag, but then also got storage for the mash paddle, strainer or colander, and then handy dandy measuring stick holder for measuring my water volumes. With it being made out of wood, it was pretty cheap and easy to work with rather than trying to kind of fabricate a metal design. And fully customizable. One of the bread uses keeps insisting I add another shelf here, but haven't done that yet. Kind of like having that open space there myself right now. Customizable if you want to paint it, stain it, you can do what you want. I don't mind the look of the natural wood, and with getting a lot of spills and whatnot on there, it works out just fine from my perspective. So nice and easy with the brew in the bag. Initially, trying to hold it and lift the bag out and squeeze it. It was definitely a two-person operation. With the stand, I can easily do it myself. So that's what I'm brewing with. And, here in the garage, roll it out to the driveway, or I guess I could do it in here and just make sure I got some ventilation happening. Any questions there?
What about cooling, Jay? How do you do your cooling?
Yep. Yeah, I just actually right here, I got just an immersion chiller. So I just stick that, into the keg and run the hoses kind of through the back piece here.
Jay, what's that material, the white material you have around it?
This is just concrete board like you would use, for tiling or a bathroom.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Not asbestos?
I was hoping so, but no, couldn't find any asbestos. I heard it would insulate better. But...
Good for flavor.
So is this a original design that you just came up with, or is this did you find this on the internet, or how'd you go about that?
So yeah, I was kind of wanted to do a brew stand in wood. I was looking at a ton on different online forums and whatnot. My thought with this stand is if I ever wanted to switch to do use one of my handy dandy coolers or something else for a mash tun, I wouldn't have to add the arms. I could just have a two-step system here. I ended up finding this design or similar design on a website, and then I worked with my father-in-law. I provided barbecue, and he provided some instruction, and he helped me kind of put it into place and make the stand workable, and change some of the functions from some of the things we saw online to make it, obviously customizable to fit my needs, using a keg instead of just a regular brew kettle.
That's awesome. How long have you had this set up now?
This was one of the early COVID projects, so about a year now.
Okay.
How much was your material cost?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think, oh man, I'd probably say it was about, I don't know, $100 to $130. If I'm trying to recall. Like I said, it was early in the COVID, so wood prices hadn't gone up. The caster wheels were probably the most expensive individual piece. I got those at Harbor Freight. But all in all, it wasn't too bad.
Brad the Elder, you got a question?
What's the output of that mini pump?
I think it advertises, I think it's 8 feet of lift up. I'm not sure gallons per minute. I know a bunch of the guys in the club have it. It works pretty well and meets the needs. I do, like you can see there, I've got 2 different ball valves. I do a whirlpool at the end. It's not a super strong whirlpool, but it keeps it moving around the chiller. So I could get back to you on that, but I can't recall the exact output for the pump.
If I can butt in, that is a solar hot water heater pump, and they're on Amazon. They're like $30. I've got one, and like you said, a bunch of guys in the club have one. It's got good head pressure on it, but I think with a 1/2-inch hose, it's about a little over a gallon, a little over a gallon a minute. It's not a real huge flow, but it's perfect for transferring and for just a whirlpool. And you can run it off of a 12-volt battery too if you want to. So it's pretty. I've had one for over a year now, and it's ran flawlessly for me.
Yeah, I've had to clean mine one time, and I think that was because I didn't rinse it appropriately enough, but $20-25, that little pump does some work.
Yep.
And it's funny, I saw you put the stainless fittings on the plastic pump, and I've done the same thing. It ends up being the pump is cheaper than some fittings. So
that's definitely the case. Spent more on the cam lock fittings than I did on the pump for sure.
Yeah.
So after brewing on this for about a year, what would you do to the 2.0 version?
Ooh, good question. I think one of the things I guess 2 things come to mind is, and I planned to do it and I never got around to it, would be to tile that floor because of some spillage and stuff like that, or find some way to seal it. So if I found some leftover tile or cheap tile, I would do that.
Right.
And then I think additionally, I would seal the top shelf here, just with, you can see some spillage. I got my brew binder there, but just spillage and discoloration. So
hey, you can unscrew it and turn it upside down.
Heck yeah.
Add Bluetooth to it.
One thing, I guess another thing I've used is I use a camper filter with just a garden hose. I would like to figure out some way to maybe mount it and have water like kind of available on the side and with like a movable arm that would just then hook up to the hose. But again, that'd just be a nice to have, not really change too much of the functionality there.
Hey, real quick, how did you mount your little pump down there? I know that was just a super little setup you got there, but it was slick.
So, I mean, basically it was a spare piece of wood I had. I attached the pump just to an extra piece of 2x4 because, I guess I just the way this was designed, the distance there was the length of a 2x4, so it just kind of sits in there and slides in.
Nice. It was simple. I thought it was clean. I don't know. I didn't know if that was by design or if that just, yeah, like you said, a happy little.
Nope, I think that was a Brad Hughes suggestion there.
Nice.
So I'm sure the question everybody's waiting to hear, you say you don't sparge, but do you squeeze your bag?
So I guess that's a really good question. I do squeeze it, hence the barbecue gloves. I don't really over squeeze it or squeeze, I don't go kind of nuts with the squeezing. I use one of my extra kettles and a colander, and after the bag kind of stops, dripping, I pop it on there, and then when it gets to a boil, I empty whatever else falls into the kettle and pour it back into the boil. I did say nut squeezing. Yeah, thanks.
Hey, is that brew kettle? Could you make a funky ass bitch in there?
Ooh, it's got
It's possible,
nice,
right?
I guess it's possible. So
anything's possible.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a sweet setup.
I mean, here in the garage too, that's the fermentation chamber. So I was going to chime in. I use one of the iSpindels, and my fermenters are in the fermentation chamber, which it's plywood with the dorm fridge, and it's got about, I think, 1.5 inch insulation inside. But I do have a Wi-Fi extender out here in the garage, so does connects just fine. We'll see what happens this week, and I'll be using a stainless steel bucket fermenter for the first time and see how inside of a stainless steel, inside of the fermenter, if it still connects. But so far, so good.
Yeah, I think before you had this set up, did you, I'll say, brew open air without the 3 walls?
Yes, and it was incredible. It was very challenging. So every, even on a nice day with just a little bit of wind, we were trying to set up bins or cardboard boxes or something to try to block the flame from the burner.
Yeah, I have a piece of sheet metal I use on trying to block the wind on one side, but it makes just even one side makes an incredible difference. So I'm thinking yours with the 3 sides extending to the kettle height really provides a nice benefit to wind and ambient air conditions.
Yep, so far so good. And like I said, in the winter months or almost all the time, I wrap it in a sleeping bag while it's mashing. And I mean, that's the stainless steel from the keg holds in the heat pretty well. You add in the sleeping bag, and then the walls being warm from, bringing the mash water up to temp. So,
how did you cut the backer board?
Sorry?
How did you cut the cement board? What kind of tool?
I just used, a brand new razor knife, and kind of scored it pretty good, and then just broke it along the score line.
Thank you.
Cool.
I did not. Was that another question there?
Yeah, I can't see who's trying to ask something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so that's my setup. I am brewing Saturday, so if anybody's comfortable coming over, you're welcome to, and I can put that out there. I'm brewing a Carolina cream ale. So
nice.
All right,
Well,
you got on tap, Jason.
Yeah, that was awesome.
great.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
What do you have on tap, Jason?
Oh, what do I have on tap? 2 Belgian triples that were fermented with different yeast, a Belgian quad, and a Maibach.
I'll be right over.
Well, thank you for doing that, Jay. And like Richard said earlier, if anybody else wants to showcase your system, let one of us know, and we'll put you on the agenda for a future meeting. we all brewing on different setups, and maybe we can learn something from each other. If we can't go to each other's houses, maybe we can see it online here. But thanks for doing that, Jay.
Yeah.
I've just got a few things I'd like to bring up, and then we'll see if anybody has any new business. But number one, just remember we have the British Brown recipe challenge on March 27th at Red Hill. So if you brewed one, be sure we're going to be there from 2 to 4. Bring a couple of them. We'll just sample them, see how that goes. We'll post it on Facebook. Number two, we're keeping our eyes on the numbers, and hopefully next month we'll maybe make a stab at trying to have an in-person meeting. If we do have an in-person meeting, we'll still have a Zoom element. But it looks like the numbers are going in the right direction, and hopefully they'll keep going that way. And it's be awfully nice to be able to hang around and drink beer in person. We are still doing the 4th Thursday of the month, the Zoom hangout. It was fun, I guess 2 weeks ago. Same time, 7 o'clock, the 4th Thursday of the month. Just if you want to come hang on, sit around and look at other people drink beer while you drink beer. It's kind of fun. So we're doing that the 4th Thursday of the month, the Zoom hangout. Also, the brew store in Cornelius, he provided a lot of us our recipes for the British Brown. Tony over there, he's having his first anniversary March 20th. That's a few Saturdays from now. He's looking for people to do brew demos in the parking lot there. If anybody would like to do that, reach out to Tony at the brew store in Cornelius. But they're having their first anniversary celebration on the 20th of March over there. And last but not least, out at the beer exchange box, I've got some buckets that have hop rhizomes in them. If anybody wants some hop rhizomes, there's some huge Columbus ones, and there's some Centennial, just a little bit of Centennial, but there's plenty of Columbus. If anybody wants it, it's first come, first serve, but they're in the buckets right beside the beer exchange. And they're free. That's all I have for our meeting. Does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up before the club? Any new business? Well, if not, I'm gonna just I didn't get any words of wisdom to close out this meeting, but that's okay. But we'll just go ahead and close out the regular portion of our meeting, and we can just hang out for a while and just open it up to whoever wants to chat or whatever. Thanks again for coming to the meeting. I know Zoom's not the way we would like to be meeting and drinking and talking about beer, but things are going to get better. So with that, I'm going to call our meeting adjourned, and we will, hey, there's Tim Kelly. We're going to go ahead and adjourn our meeting, but and Jeff, if you want to go ahead and stop the recording. And